Hey guys, Jason Sensational here, and today I have for you guys a deck guide, finally, after a little bit of a short hiatus from seasonals, other videos, and whatnot. I wanted to bring this one out. It's a little bit later than what I normally wanted. I had like the clips prepared, I just needed to make the materials and make the video and whatnot. So I hope that it does its best to stay as relevant as possible and as enjoyable and informational as I hope to make these. Without further ado, we have a deck guide, of course, for Ez Draven. This is a deck guide that I made in the past, but now I have a little bit more experience, and I have a few different points, if you guys have seen the previous video, that I think are a little bit different and really differentiate a good Ez Draven player and a better Ez Draven player. Now, I know I've been away for a bit, so this comes out a little bit awkwardness to say, but I would really appreciate if you just take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy the guide, and let's jump right into it. Alright, so first things first, of course, we do have a look at the deck guide list itself. This is the list that I use on my Master's Climb run, which I climbed 150 LP with pretty much, card for card pretty much. And as you can see, this deck really doesn't see too many changes throughout the seasons. I believe it was with Targan or something along the lines, we got the card Ballistic Bot that got added into the set. And then now recently we got the card Thorn of the Rose, which fit pretty well within this current build and archetype. But otherwise, very standard. You have your champions of Draven Ezreal, you have your classic units, House Spider, Sentry, Sump Dredgers, Captain Farron, and of course all your control tools and spells, like Beam, Flock, Mystic Shot, Scorch, Get Excited, and of course your Tri-Beam Improbulator, and whatnot. It's a very, very tempo-driven oriented deck, and just uses these tools very efficiently to pull ahead and kind of just close out games. If there's one thing that if you got nothing else out of this deck guide besides what's on this one slide, I think it's the fact that you have to play for tempo. Ezreal Draven is a tempo deck, and it is not a control deck. A lot of players will fall into this trap. They see all of their cards remove enemy units, and they'll fall into this trap of saying, okay, I'm playing the control card, I will keep all of my control tools and then use them to, drag into the late game. And I'm going to tell you that that is not the way to play it, and I'll just make a really simple comparison between TLC, which is Trundle Sanja control deck, which plays for the Watcher, which is a control deck, and I'll compare it to Ez Draven, which is not a control deck. So what makes TLC a control deck? One thing, control decks want to stall out the game, hence their name control decks, and then once they've controlled the game up to a certain point, they can play out a certain set of cards and win the game. Yeah, I've seen this with Matron to Watcher in the past, it was like Field Rush, etc. And when you jam these cards down, they just win you the game pretty much. When you have Watcher on board and your opponent can't deal with it, it ends the game pretty much when it's played. Now, of course, they can shuffle champions back in and whatnot, but the point here is Watcher is not only is it potentially a game-ending threat, it's also a huge body that pretty much swings the game over even if the opponent can survive. And it doesn't care about your opponent's health total. So you can play this when they're at 20 health versus 1 health, and it does the same thing, it ends the game. Now we compare that to Ez Draven. You have the tools in the SI Failure deck and of course the PNZ Noxus deck to control the game until like turn 8 or whatever, but the difference here is your late game bomb is either like a leveled Ezreal or a Captain Farron, and when you play those actually don't end the game. If you use up all your control tools, you don't have much left to use with flip to Ezreal, or if your opponent's still at 20 damage or 20 health going into turn 8, this Captain Farron is not going to do much. Sure, he's an 8/8 overwhelm for 8, but it gets chumped, it gets stunned, it gets silenced, at best it deals like 4 damage, and you still have 16 health to deal with. And in that situation, you've taken the game too slow. Maybe you can outgrind your opponent with like a leveled up Ezreal, just having the decimates, but that's not how the deck wants to be played, and it can't really be thought like that. Instead, you have to play for tempo. You have to get your chip damage in early on, and then end the game with a little bit of burn. So let's talk a little bit more about tempo and what exactly it means. For a lot of card game players, I think it generally means a similar thing. It's usually the concept of having units on your board, having more units on your board than your opponent, or trading aggressively so that your units survive and your opponent's units doesn't. And that is probably a very close definition of what I'm going with. And there's two real ways of generating tempo. One, of course, is just playing your units. You play House Spider, you play Draven, you play Some Treasure, and these are decent tempo cards on curve. They're not understated by any means, and they kind of go wide, and your opponent is, especially for Draven, your opponent is like, if they block Draven, then you're generating tempo because they had to block it with a unit, right? So by playing for board, you can either take value trades, you can damage your opponent's units to set up cards like Flock and Scorched Earth, and you can force your opponent to block with, again, into Draven to like conserve health, right? And the second part is being able to trade your spell mana for unit mana, because in tempo is pretty much only what's on the board and what's represented damage wise. And so if you can spend your spell mana and to trade for your opponent's unit mana, so for example, your opponent, he spends 4 mana to play the Fangs, and you spend 2 spell mana to Mystic Shot it, and you kill it. You've traded 2 spell mana for your opponent's 4 unit mana, and on turn 4 you can still play your 4 unit mana. Like, this concept is very, very powerful, and why cards such as Ravenous Flock, Scorch Earth, even Mystic Shock and Thermal Beam to some extent are really, really powerful cards. Just being able to kill an opponent's unit for 1 mana or 3 mana, especially in conjunction with, you know, just chump blocking with a 1/1 spider they get off of House Spider. This allows you to swing your tempo really, really quickly, because dealing 4 damage to a unit in like the mid game, say on like turns 4 or 5, can pretty much just kill a unit outright. And this is what's going to help you snowball your wide board state in order to push damage throughout the mid game. Of course, there are cards like Tribeam, which is probably your ultimate swing tempo game plan. It will remove an opponent's unit. It uses your spell mana, at least up to 4, or up to 3, and at least 1 unit mana, and it generates you a beefy body of its own. This is the ultimate card in this deck, and probably the strongest card, and this is a card that you want to be considering keeping in your mulligan pretty much every time. The tip for using Tribeam is there's a few different, like, just some numbers I need to keep in mind. 3/4 drops off of Tribeam are generally pretty poor, so you really want to be aiming for either 5 or 6, and then the difference between like 7 and 8 is quite large in terms of average rolls off of Tribeam. So you really want to be milking your Tribeam for a little bit. You don't necessarily want to be casting it for 3 or 4, even though it is a good tempo play still, because you're killing your opponent's unit to generate a unit of your own. The longer you can hold on to Tribeam, the higher tempo swing this will be. And so it's very critical that you try to keep on to Tribeam as long as you can. And because, like, sometimes, because the deck has to rely on cards like Tribeam to compensate for the overall weaker card pool that it has, if you just do like a 4 damage Tribeam, that might not be enough against certain matchups. So just keep that in mind as you're playing with Tribeam and Ez Draven. Another thing I want to touch up upon is how to think about pushing through this extra chip damage in the early game and putting on that burn mindset. I think that one of the coolest things about this deck is being able to use your stuns proactively and aggressively. A lot of the times people have the notion that cards like Arachnoid Sentry and Thorn of the Rose are more defensive options. Having the stun to slow down your opponent's board to stop their attack is a viable strategy, and you'll definitely use it in some instances, but you also should be considering about how you can use them aggressively to push damage through, because not a lot of decks have wide board clears to punish, say, development. And so if you are able to play Arachnoid Sentry and stun your opponent's unit out of combat, this is like a 2-for-1 development, right? Especially if they commit more mana to develop their units, right? So let's say it's turn 7, your opponent plays Eclipse Dragon on turn 7. It costs 7 mana, and you play Arachnoid Sentry, which costs 3 mana to stun it and now it can't block. And now your opponent has no more unit mana to develop onto that turn. And now you can, say, stun another unit, play a Tri-Beam, and then just set up a wide board, and then just push like 10, 12 damage. And that's kind of what you want, having your opponent down to like 8, 5 health, and then you just close the game with like a Farron or an Ezreal. So how this is going to look is going into some of your mid-game turns, maybe like a turn 5 or turn 6, you're going to bank 3 spell mana into your next turn, and you're always going to consider if you can develop. Now, of course, in some instances, you want to play that Tri-Beam on the turn beforehand to set up like a clean open attack, and you should also be considering which matchups that is safe to do so, and which matchups you can kind of just greed a little bit more into the development. But generally you save, so you have like 8 mana going in, 8 or 9 mana going into your attack turn. You start off with like a Guile from Thorn of the Rose to bait your opponent into developing more, and then you play Arachnoid Sentry to stun like a 5-drop, and then you play Tri-Beam, and then now you have a really wide board that your opponent can't really deal with because they spent most of their mana trying to play down units to block your units. So that's kind of how you can set up this burn mindset. You always want to be thinking about how you can chip damage early in so that you don't have to burn them out as much, because it's a lot easier to burn your opponent out when they're at 8 health versus like 12 health, for example. Lastly, I want to touch up on some of the matchup threads that Ez Draven has. Currently, this is kind of the rough part, and how like a really shifting meta kind of hurts a deck like Ez Draven. With the rise of Thresh Nasus, I actually think that Ez Draven has a relatively unfavorable matchup into it, which is kind of unfortunate to say because being weak into some of the strongest decks in the meta doesn't really showcase your strength as a deck very well. And right now, it's really hard to interact with Thresh Nasus when they level up Nasus and they have Atrocity. It's really hard to stop this like 2-card combo from your deck that can often just kill you out because you don't really have heal cards. Now, these matchups aren't unwinnable at all per se. I've played both sides of the matchup and I have won and lost on both sides as well. So that's just something to keep in mind, but generally in an overall statistic, I think that Thresh Nasus is favored into Ez Draven. The same goes for TLC. Again, matchup is definitely winnable, but from the Ez Draven side, it is not very easy to play against TLC. Now, of course, following the same guidelines, I have won this TLC matchup. I'm not like super afraid to play into it because I know this isn't an auto lose matchup. But again, you're kind of playing from behind. You have to play really, really smartly around the removal cards, push, get chip damage in, and then really close out the game fast. Now, matchups where Ez Draven shines are your more classic mid-range piles, your Demacia piles, and all the random other crap out in the meta if you're laddering or whatnot. So generally, Ez Draven does well into like Demacia piles like Fiora Shen, as like Zoe Aesol, or Shen Jarvan, etc. Because their removal cards are often sparse and they kind of rely on cards like Single Combat and Concern Strike, and they want to play beefy units like on 5 they want to play like a 4/5 for example, and if you just like Mystic Shot Flock it, you're trading 3 spell mana up for like a 5-drop, which is really, really powerful. Decks that don't go wide, like Slay goes really wide with cheap units, and Ez Draven can't really deal with that. Mid-range decks like Demacia, even like Ashe Nox, they play 5 mana 5/5s, and Ez Draven just beats the living crap out of those decks. Now, I think where Ez Draven kind of shines the most is just its consistency outside of some of the top ladder decks or top meta decks at the moment, like into like Scouts, even like Nightfall, somewhat discard Lucian Azir, etc. All the random stuff that people try to bring to counter like the main decks. Ez Draven does relatively well into, or even does well into decks that you don't really know what their game plan is, because your game plan is generally pretty simple. You just play for tempo and you do your best to maintain more tempo than your opponent. And Ez Draven kind of shines in that aspect because they have really powerful swing cards like, you know, your Flocks and your Tri-Beams. So lastly, I have 3 games that I want to showcase for you guys. They are some of the tougher matchups for Ez Draven, but I want to show you guys how you can think about playing them, how to really use these fundamentals like playing for tempo, setting up wide board swings, just getting your tempo pressure advantage up. And these videos should highlight some of these issues pretty well. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoyed the informational part of this series, and I will leave you guys with some really cool games. So thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you guys later. Not a great hand. Still not a great hand. Maybe we should have, like, how many rights is he on? He's on 1, right? Alright, buddy. I'm gonna do this so I can try to push 3 damage here. That's how important I think the damage is. Sure. Okay, so no Blighted Keeper is really good for me. Maybe I should have killed this as well, just to prevent like a caretaker from coming down. Maybe I even do it now. Well, I have the Static Shock for the caretaker. We just have nothing to do here. This is not good. I'm gonna prevent him from killing one of his guys and black spearing me as long as I can. I shouldn't. I don't know. If he passes here, I'll pass back. Okay, we have Farron. He's gonna play Thresh. We're gonna kill Thresh. Yeah, so we just had to like do everything to stop it. If he wants to deny this, I'm pretty happy. 3 out of 6. I'm sniping for he has your elements on hand? Thanks, funny. I wouldn't have known without you. Thanks for telling me, by the way. Oh, if a unit has died this round. Why did I think it was if he slayed a unit? It's kind of Propega. He has 1 or 2 Egyptian gods. His health total's too high.
Once I stamp papers, now faces. They forgot. You cannot.
You're both templeless, so his health total expansion. Didn't know. I guess so. But like I think his late game's better than mine, and I think my early game is probably better than his. So ideally I'd be in a position where I could close it out soon. This is good for me because he doesn't have any of his big cards, and I think I'm fine here because he can't deal with this Farron. So he's bound to attack because he's done this, and I drop Farron and I think I just win. So I think I'm in a fine spot here because he has a champion hand, but I killed it, which was Thresh. So I think I'm fine here, honestly. This is good. This is good. And my Ezreal's gonna level too, so I'm gonna have Farron and leveled Ezreal, and now his Black Sphere can't kill my Ezreal. Nice. Alright, I think we're in a commanding spot right now. And he doesn't have a way of killing my Ezreal, so I'm gonna spear here. Or just like thermo beam here, depending on what I need to do. So I'm gonna open, or I'm not gonna open beam, but you get the idea. When the night is come, or we can just get excited as well. But get excited is better as burn. Our health total doesn't matter. Wait, what? Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm fine being at this health, right? Because I just kill him. I'm just gonna get excited. I'm just gonna flock this then. I don't want to block here for Black Spear purposes. I'm taking 5's fine. The issue is if he like denies this, which is actually potentially possible. Okay, never mind. So now we win. Ezreal's flipped. We have double decimate with ignitions. So next time we're going into 9 mana. If we cast this now, we're at 10. If we're at 10 mana, we can play ignition. So I'd rather play the ignition next turn if I want to double decimate, right? Here's the tricky thing. If he has Nasus, I want to attack before it. But if he doesn't have Nasus, I want to develop Ezreal, right? Does he have Nasus? So if we attack, we deal 5 through here. He'll be at 12, and I have Ezreal double decimate with Get Excited. And that should be okay. If he plays Nasus here, am I in a bad spot? I still get 2 damage out of... I get 5 damage out of the Ezreal. Second Ezreal. If he had Nasus, he would have played it last turn, right? If I just attack, I deal 5, he goes down to 12, I have double decimate, Get Excited, and that should be lethal as well. I think it's correct to attack first. I'm not actually sure here. I can Get Excited this for damage, but it's the same either way. Nice. So yeah, he had the Black Spears, and we played around them appropriately.
They don't know what they're up against.
Wait, did we die to a Nasus here? Because we don't have a blocker. Uh-oh, wait. I might have... ooh. Okay, it's only a 10-10. Okay. Make sure to play around double Singar. You got it, funny. We're gonna Thermal Beam for 0 here just for damage. And that way if he tries to open, we have Decimate, and then we have Get Excited back up. I know you wouldn't, punny. That's why he's at 1 mana. We're playing around single combat by making him have 1 mana. And now he should be dead. So he's gonna Atrocity me, and he can't double Atrocity. So he can deny Atrocity and I lose? Oh, that kinda sucks. We lose to deny an Atrocity? We might actually lose here, honestly. We'll see. If he Atrocities here, I think I'm fine. Alright, you have the deny. Deny, deny, no deny, no deny. Oh, thank god. Woo! These have been some stressful games, holy crap. I mean, that's to be expected playing against Majin Bey and Kevor, but god damn.
Easy.
Toxic streamer? A little bit. I like a little bit of tongue-in-cheek against my friends. You can't be friends with me if you don't banter. You got to dine with my list? Awesome, dude. That's so great to hear, man. What lineup am I trying? TLC, Zoe, Asol, and Draven Ezreal. Scorcher is actually really funny, but I can't keep it. Ooh, his hand sucks. Tri-beam, tri-beam, tri-beam. Second Draven's not too bad. It was Leona Asol? It's just Demacia Asol right now. I don't know which version I'd consider bringing yet. Some Treader's really good. Kuvin, what's up, man?
I have the best job.
I'm so tempted to Mystic Shot this right now. But then he just avalanches me. And then I just second Draven. I can do that later. Oh, Ignition Bot's really good. So what about I just do this now? He's gonna play a unit, I'm gonna Sentry it. Up to 3 Pharaons. You just need to draw Pharon. Like, there's so many matchups where, there's so many games where if you don't draw Pharon by 8, you just don't win. Glimpse. Okay. So this Glimpse is gonna put him into a false sense of security. And he's gonna play, like, Kindly Tavern Keeper here, or Beard. And then I get to Sentry him. Aw, he's too smart. Well, now with that pass, I'm gonna develop, right? Manasia, what's up, friend? Oh, Tribeam was 2 turns too late. This is gonna force out the Avalanche, which kinda sucks. Wow, really? Alright, sick. Wow, 7 damage here is insane. Like, this 7 damage might win me the game. He could be on Blighter Ravine, yeah. Okay. So I have the Tribeam now, which is really important. I have 1 Arachnoid Sentry, which is really important. So this turn I can Ballistic Bot Draven. If he plays Trundle here, I think he gets really punished. Have you played Deep yet? It's really good on ladder right now. No, I actually haven't. I haven't laddered in a very long time. Well, not in a very long time, but I haven't, like, played decks that I'm not used to on ladder, rather. I'm too scared. I know, there's no one playing Lee on ladder, I get that. Pass. I guess you can pass here. Funny thing is, I think this Ballistic Bot's more important than anything on my board. Or, like, in my hand. But, like, I don't want him to play Draven. Are you still in Masters? Yeah. Oh, I'm in Masters. Oh, Scorch Earth, he would just destroy him. Yeah, I'm at like 530 OP right now. So yeah, I'm still in Masters. Wait, how can you play Trundle here? I don't know how I can play Trundle like this. He's representing a way to kill Ballistic Bot. If he can't kill Ballistic Bot, this play was kind of troll. Wow, what? This guy's insane. Like, mad insane. I don't know how he could do that. Like, that's so weird.
Can you improve perfection?
There's the Avalanche. Now I gotta flock this, but now I don't have like any more board. So I'm forced into playing Ezreal here. I can play Ignition first, just to soft pass. Why not level Draven? I want to see if he'd commit resources. We're gonna Ezreal into Tribeam here. Or just Tribeam first. He's down 2 Avalanches. We're gonna do this in case he has another unit, so we can like Mystic Flock. We're gonna keep our Ezreal until it levels. We're gonna deny this. That's frustrating.
Your bags at the door.
We need our top deck fair in here. Him playing 3 of these guys is super obnoxious. I think we just YOLO it. Like, he didn't have Ice Shard, he's only on 1 whale. Like, we're just gonna YOLO here. Like, if this was a 3-3, I'd probably win. We still need Farron here. If we don't draw Farron, we lose. Like, I don't think we can win without Farron. Second Ezreal's not bad. So this is basically down to whether or not he top deck Ice Shard, or if he had Withering Wail in hand. And he's only on 1 Withering Wail, so if this forced out a Harsh Winds or something, that's like, not as bad. But like, I'm only making this play, like, I set up this open attack because he didn't have Ice Shard. If that makes sense for you guys. Actually, did he? It's not. Was it Ice Shard? I don't actually remember. I don't think it was Ice Shard. Never mind, I'm kind of trolling. But, like, I think this is the best play I'm getting with this hand. Like, unless I drew Farron there, exactly Farron, then maybe my decision could have changed. But until then, I can't make. I can't, like. I think this was correct. If he Ice Shards, would you level Draven? I can't. Like, Draven needs a strike to level. And if he just kills Draven, then Draven can't level. Draven is when you struck with 2 axes. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is nuts. So I level up Ezreal with the static, and then I have second Ezreal into axes. And I have the draw from static. Yeah, no worries. Happy to answer your questions here, but I just need to focus right now. Like, these are the games I really like with Draven Ezreal, because like, even though TLC is like pretty unfavored, like, you can play this really smartly. Lissandra. That's not a Lissandra. So this levels Ezreal, and I can play Ezreal, and he's like kind of forced into open vengeancing here. Oh my god. Alright, we're in business. Shotox, what's up, man?
Signal fires.
That's really bad. We can't really commit the second Ezreal. It's like too YOLO. He is on very little heal. Like, abnormally little. I think he's actually dead here. He only has 3 Kindly Tavern Keepers. He didn't have any Vow Feast. He didn't have a Whale. I think we just go for the win here. How far the scrimmage? This is 1-1. This is the 3rd game. Oh, this sucks. Do I win here? This is 3, this is 4. So 3 into 5 cards, discard 2, not quite. But now do I win? I replay Ezreal. Can I replay Ezreal right now?
In Avarosa's name.
I get another axe here. Taking the 6 doesn't matter. So I have 3 damage in axes, 2 damage here, not quite. If I play Ezreal, can I lose here ever? So this is 2 damage, I get to open for some amount of damage. He needs second vengeance exactly, otherwise he loses. It doesn't actually matter which one I beam here, but I think I need to cash in this beam for 2 here. Like, I'm convinced I need to kill him. Like, he can't freeze my Ezreal because I just axed to, like, get damage through. So he has to be on second vengeance. Show me second vengeance. Actually, don't show me second vengeance. What am I saying? Don't show me second vengeance. Oh, thank God. If he doesn't have vengeance, he just loses here. I can do this all day. So I can beat 2 more freezes. Let's go! Oh my god. That feels good. 2 owing TLC feels really, really good.
I knew we had it all along.
Alright, so Nightfall into Ez Draven. His list is on 2 Moonlight Afflictions. He has a lot more spells in his version, so we need to be careful we don't die to early aggression. And then, or like not die, but like we don't get horribly destroyed by early aggression, and then he just burns us out. So it's really important that we draw some of our early game here. Hellstrider's okay, but it's not a fearsome blocker. I think I'd rather have like a Mystic Shot instead. This is actually a strange matchup where Flock is actually pretty bad. You don't really get many of those, but this is kind of one of them. I think overall in the bans, I think we did okay. Like, we ended up banning his Lucian Azir deck, which was good into our, like, TLC deck. And then he had to leave up our TLC because he kind of wanted to, like, target it. And then he's letting us play TLC, but, like, we banned, like, our worst matchup, right? Theoretically speaking. So 3 Stygian, 3 Dustbringer, 3 Solari, 3 Goat, 3 Doombeast, 3 Crescent, 2 Fading, 3 Onto Dust, 3 Unspeakable Horrors. Alright, this man's out here trying to like high roll some victories out. 3 Stalking, 3 Pale, 2 Moonlights. Alright, looks pretty standard. If we can kill this flight, that's actually kind of sick. Mystic Shot. That's not bad. We want to play bot so we can play Sump. This is actually going to win him the game, honestly. But if he attacks here, then like he's losing a lot of tempo on board, and maybe we can just like punish him. Sounds like Nightfall mid-range rather than aggro. I mean the deck's still aggro. I'm tempted to play Sump Treasure just for tempo. If I play this into like Sump onto the dude, that's actually not great for me.
Yo, Jason.
Yeah, what's up?
Sorry, dude. The list I sent you doesn't have the flight in it. Just so you know, I have instead of the 0 mana Fading Memories card, I have the 2 flights in here.
You drew both flights when you have 2 of them?
Yeah.
Fucking high
Yeah, I only
roller.
have 2 flights.
Alrighty. Alright,
That's the only change though, and all the other stuff should be updated.
Yeah, no worries, man. Alright, fucking high roller. Drawing both flights when he's only on a 2 of. So, what am I want to do? I want to, like, tempo him here. How bad is Flock? Flock is good with Sentry now that I have it. Like, the worst play here is just Ballistic Bot. I think I can ditch a Rummage. I can double 2-drop, but that's not that great. Is there a certain grouping of deck archetypes that's good to bring to Gauntlet Torment style decks? If I want to run deep as one deck, what else should I bring? It's less about like grouping of archetypes, it's more about matchups. So if you are playing deep, Let's figure out what deep is good and bad against, right? Deep is okay into TLC. It's what else is it good into? Ezreal actually stops flight, which is kind of funny. Like if I play Ezreal here, he like has to play flight, but then if he pales and trades my Ezreal, I'm really sad. Ideally, I just like sentry here and just push damage, but like wasting the sentry instead of the flock seems a little bit rough. But like I just need to like get some damage through. Deep is good in TLC, Zoe, Asol, Jarvan, Shen. Alright, so let's start there. Say you have that, then you kind of want to construct your deck, or your lineup, in a sense that's good against your favorable matchups. That's one way to do it, right? So if you want to be good against TLC, Asol, Zoe, Asol, Jarvan, Shen, you can bring like Ezreal, Draven, and that might help your Zoe, Asol, Jarvan, Shen matchups, right? On the other hand, you can think about like what deck you want to ban, and then bring compatible lineups to that. So let's say I want to ban Zoe Lee, right? So I can bring TLC, which wants to ban Zoe Lee, I can bring Ez Draven, which wants to ban Zoe Lee, and I can bring Zoe Asol, which wants to ban Draven, or Zoe Lee, right? That's the way I'm approaching my lineup, and my lineup's also favorable into, like, combined favorable into some matchups as well. So that's kind of how you can think about things. So he's just blocking with the flight here? Okay. Thanks? Yeah, no worries. It's like the two very basic ways of constructing a lineup, and if you want to get more complicated than that, then like that's up to you if you want. Losing our house spider or sentry there was a little bit rough, but this mystic shot kind of makes up for it. So here's the thing, he's gonna pale his flight to trade with our Ezreal, then we mystic shot. Oh, but then he could have Nocturne and we kind of... Okay, that's not a Nocturne, thank god. Jeez, I need to play a little bit slower. He could also pale into my Ezreal. But he has to like commit the pale first. You can also just pull Ezreal like this. So he has the pale, or he has the not the onto dust, so it is just pale. Yeah, I was playing a little bit fast here, fortunately. Like if I use the mystic shot here, how am I killing Diana? Yeah, this was wrong. I kind of just this was a misplay. I shouldn't have played Ezreal because like I could mystic his bird here anyway, and I just lost my. Yeah, that was kind of stupid. So our hope is that we just out pressure him, survive until 8, and draw Farron. But now because we discarded a rummage, this could be a little bit hard. Good players draw Farron, hopefully. Both flights, 2 unspeakable horrors, level Diana, second Ezreal. Ezreal's never getting attack in because he just has flights. Third Ezreal. Because we have this flock, we can like literally attack with everything. If he wants a value trade his Diana into the bot, we have the flock. So we're just gonna develop in completely wide here and force him to develop on his like turn here. With Deep, I usually want to ban Spider Aggro Sandy Scouts. I think your intuition's in the right spot there. TLC wants to ban Sandy Scouts, but not Spider Aggro. Target decks might want to ban those, maybe. I'm not actually too sure. So he's gonna play his 3-cost unit here. Nocturne. I'm gonna force them to try to block with his champions, because I have ways of killing them.
Meet destiny.
Because like I have Ezreal, second Ezreal, I have Flock here to kill these. And he's kind of forced into making some weird blocks. Bad news is my ballistic bot's gonna die. Third unspeakable horror? What is this guy doing? This guy's nuts. I might just get outvalued here, which is kind of funny. There's a reason not to attack with this card. There's also a reason to kill Diana. He's not leveling Nocturne, is he? He can't stop this Flock, so I can just pass for now. Draven's really good. Lee Sin doesn't enjoy Fearsomes or aggro. That's not bad. That's a pretty good choice. Wow. I'm gonna play Ezreal so we get access to third Ezreal Mystic Shot, and we can like Flock Mystic.
I will be heard.
Oh, take your time, pal. It's not like I've got better things to do. Sure.
It's Draven time.
Alright, sorry about that. Interesting.
I don't miss.
He's gonna Moonlight me or something? It's like the only play I can see. I have Whirling Death for Moonlight. It's not a Moonlight. Still could be to kill Ezreal. No Moonlight, wow. Okay. I like where our head's at right now. We have Draven as a combat trick. We kill the Doom Beast so it can't onto Dusk it. Yep. What the fuck, dude? Oh my god. Alright, so there's two onto Dust. There's a Doom Beast down. Fair. Alright, Flock's not bad. We have Draven, we have Flock. We can remove most of his attack. We have one elusive blocker. He's used most of his burn. That doesn't actually do anything. We can Whirling Death this guy. We don't quite lose to Moonlight Affliction here, but it's damn close. Alright, well, we have second Draven that kind of saves us here. Interesting pull.
You're heretic. I will be heard.
I think he's out here. So we're gonna axe this, Whirling Death here, Flock here, and then maybe block here. But now we're just struggling with cards. I think we have to keep Draven alive and tank 3 here.
Time for the moneymakers.
We're still in top deck mode. What a weird game. We're still not winning. He needs 3 Doom Beasts, which he has. So 2 Doom Beasts and an On to Dusk. So we're still not in a good spot. If we top deck Farron, that's a whole nother story. That's fine, like we just kill with Ezreal next turn. This doesn't actually do anything right now.
They don't know what they're up against.
I'm not sure why he would save it. I'd rather like push 1 damage and then set me on an even number of health, right? I think that should have been a better play. I guess this makes it hard for me to like play Farron if I have it. So stupid.
One shot, all skill.
Actually, we should have played Farron. I can't believe I didn't play it here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry, chat. I was thinking like, oh, it'll trade with the Dust Rider, but I push 7 damage. What am I doing? I'm sorry. I'm kind of just trolling here. He doesn't run Atrocity, so like I don't have to worry about this, but like I'm trolling. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. There's literally no reason to play Farron and I just didn't do it. I don't know why. I'm such a pea-brain. Now I just Mystic Shot this Dust Rider, and you shouldn't be able to survive. His Nocturne's leveled. We have Axe to Draven as 2 blockers. You could still lose. Eclipse Dragon, of course. Alright, so if he doesn't play Nocturne, we shouldn't lose. Well, if we played this, he plays that, then like, he can't block the Eclipse, I guess. He'd leave this at 1, he's used all of his cards. So double Decimate wins us the game here. Static Shock's a pretty good draw. So unfortunately, I am terrible at scheduling, and I have to run after this game. I have let Duckling know, but he hasn't checked it, so he actually doesn't know. So I'm gonna go raid him afterwards, and I have to run. Yeah, this is awkward. Man, I suck at scheduling.
Oh, take your time, pal. It's not like I've got better things to do.
He doesn't know I have to run. Wait. I can't fucking believe it. What the fuck is that? I'm still gonna lose. This is, oh my god. I have one draw. Go. What I'm talking about. I hate this game so much, dude. This game actually infuriates me sometimes. Alright, cool. I have to run, I hope. We're gonna press the raid button. Somebody let him know, but yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I can't even sign off, but thank you guys for coming. Hopefully Duckwing knows that I have to run. I don't know what happened in the game there, but thank you guys so much for coming by. Go check out Duckwing.